Whether you snorkel, scuba, or free dive, you're going to want to listen up. Our captains are going to give you all the information you're going to need to enter the water. Tonight, we are talking diving.
Welcome to the Chevy Florida Insider Fishing Report, presented by Yamaha.
Hello, all of my angler, diver ladies and gents. You just heard we're taking a break from chilling on the surface of our beautiful waters and taking a dive underneath. Now, as you all divers know, having a dive buddy is essential, and I have my new dive buddy right here. Say hi, Paisley. Isn't she cute?
She
so much cuter than Rick.
Cute.
Oh, right. We need to say hi to Dave Farrell at the workbench. Hey,
Hi.
Dave.
How you doing?
Wow. That's a nice
Dave.
paddle you got there.
What you got, Dave? What's
big,
that, Dave?
It's a fin. Yeah.
Fin.
It's a dive show. It's a fin.
It's a dive show. It's a fin. Duh.
Come on.
All right. Starting our descent is Captain Randy Tao in the beautiful Florida Keys, which is always synonymous with stunning clear water and diving. Randy, all your fish fans are in the audience and at home listening, so let's hear it. Right, Paisley?
Hey, good evening, fish fans. You know, talking about diving, it's probably the biggest thing we have throughout the Keys region, all the way to Key West and the Dry Tortugas. People want to get in the water. I'm not sure why with the great whites around, but nonetheless, there's some beautiful reefs and lobsters, and we've got the mini season coming up next week, and we're going to have a lot of people in town. Everybody comes in for this 2-day short season to dive up lobsters, and a couple of key things you want to keep in mind. Stay away from the sanctuary buoys, and those are big yellow balls that outline a sanctuary where you cannot take anything out of it or fish. You can dive, but you can't take lobsters. Now, if you've got a GPS with a Navionics chart chip in it, you're going to see a lot of patch reefs from 8 feet to 15 feet, 12 feet. Those are the areas that you can dive pretty easy, snorkeling, and get your lobsters. And with the clear water we have, you can really just look down and see the rocks, and you can see the bottom you're looking for, and then put your hook down in the sand and jump over and see what you find. Now, if you're more of an adventurous diver and you want to put your tank on and go deep, we've got plenty of wrecks off the reef, and our reefs are beautiful in that 70 to 90 feet. You're going to see a lot of nice things down there. Maybe not as many lobsters as you want, but certainly you're going to have a variety of fish and beautiful coral, and we've got some of the best diving in the world right here in Florida Keys. The offshore right now, the dolphin fishing's been good. We've got the full moon. I always talk about the full moon in July being very good. The last couple of days it's been excellent, and guys are finding fish in 500 feet. Now, they're small in 500 feet. It seems like the further you go out, the bigger they get. You're going to look for birds. That's your key. And you're going to look for weeds. We haven't had a lot of weeds, but what weeds we've had, there's been some fish around them. And a lot of the fish right now, for whatever reason, are traveling to the east. So they're coming from the west. They're going to the east. That's with the current. So these fish are going to be coming at you if you're going to the south, and these fish are going up to the east. I have a photo of Doug Jennings from Sarasota. He was here fishing with his wife, Debbie, and they were just looking for a dolphin, blind trolling, and caught this 52-pounder.
Man, that's a nice fish, Randy. All right, let's go inshore, bub.
Mangrove snappers. You heard me talk about the snappers on the ocean side. Well, the backcountry's the same way. The mangroves, the potholes are holding heavy on mangrove snappers right now. This time of year, we don't have big shrimp, so you're not really going to catch big ones on shrimp. But if you get a live bait like a pilchard or a pinfish and use that for bait, you're probably going to catch some of the bigger mangroves. Now, along the edge of the channel, 4 to 5 feet of water is good. And also, around these big grass flats, you're going to see a white hole. Around that white hole is going to have mangrove snappers. That's where you're going to want to fish, around that white spot. Now, the fish are going to be closer to you in the boat with if you have your chum bag out. So you want to put your baits away from the boat to try to find the bigger fish. And don't use anything heavier than about a 20-pound leader and a number 4 VMC hook to get the bites.
All right, what else you got for us, bub?
The triple tails, this time of year, here I talk about this time of year, July and August and September, some of the greatest fishing we have in the Keys. And when it's calm, a lot of these fish in Florida Bay, Flamingo area, and the West Coast beaches, these fish will float in on the incoming tide. You can see them very clearly by their white bellies up on the surface. The water's a little dirty, but they stand out once you know what to look for. They're very aggressive when you throw a shrimp right on top of their heads. And if you find one, you're probably going to find more, so you don't want to travel too far. And they're great fun, they're easy to catch, and they're great eating.
All right, well, thank you so much, Randy. We're going to go ahead and look at the king sailfish hotspots from the Florida Keys. Captain Randy says inshore, he's talking about triple tail. Look for the fish floating along the park boundary on the incoming tide. Throw a shrimp or a light jig on the top of their heads for the bite. And then offshore, dolphins. Start looking in 500 feet of water for small dolphins under birds and weeds. Then look in 1,000 for bigger fish under the birds and debris as well.
Debris. Debris is right here. All right, let's check out some of the tournaments going on in the Florida Keys, shall we? The Key West Fishing Tournament continues through November 30th and targets 37 different species. There's free registration of catches and witness releases at tackle stores throughout the Lower Keys and Key West. The Robert James Sales Slam Celebrity Tournament, set for September 9th through the 11th in Key West, is the first of 3 annual Keys Fall tournaments that raises funds for the fight against cystic fibrosis. At the Slam, anglers target tarpon, permit, and bonefish to achieve the coveted Flats Grand Slam. And now, let's see what tournaments Andy Newman has to feature this week, shall we? Rick, Paisley?
All right.
All right.
Well, hi guys. Given this week's diving-related theme, we're going to take a break from talking about traditional Florida Keys fishing tournaments. We want to make sure everyone coming to the Keys for Florida's lobster mini-season next Wednesday and Thursday understand the regulations and that they'll be safe divers. That's why the Florida Keys National Marine Sanctuary and the Florida Fish and Wildlife Conservation Commission are partnering to have a lobster mini-season information booth beginning this Saturday through next Tuesday. The location is in front of the Divers Direct located at Key Largo's Waldorf Plaza, mile marker 100 Oceanside. Hours of operation are 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. each day. Also in concert with this week's focus, we want everyone to know about the September 10th Lionfish Derby based at John Penny Camp Coral Reef State Park in Key Largo. Lionfish, of course, are an invasive species. Teams of up to 4 divers compete for cash and prizes. You can win for most, largest, and even smallest lionfish. More details at reef.org. And for more information on the Florida Keys, always go to flakeys.com.
All right, and now in the southeast Casa Vieja region, where the diving is also just as fantastic, with lobster season just around the corner, is Captain Jimbo Thomas. Hey, Jimbo, what's up?
Hey, Bree. Hey, Rick. And hey, Dave. You know,
And
just
Paisley.
like the Keys, we got some awesome reef here in the southeast region, and we've also got a lot of lobsters. The reports that I've gotten are saying that there are a lot of lobsters out there, and all the divers that I've spoken with that have been out scouting said it looks like it's going to be a good lobster season, and I hope that everyone had a good and safe mini-season. Now, the entire southeast region is great for lobstering, but the further south you get, the better the lobstering gets. I like to dive on the patch reefs and the isolated coral heads and ledges in 10 to 20 feet of water in Hawks Channel. And then the outside reef also holds lobsters, but they're usually a lot more spread out and they're much harder to catch in that heavy reef. Now, since the invention of GPS, there definitely is no such thing as a secret spot. So it's not uncommon for somebody else to be sitting on the spot first. So if that happens, show some proper lobster etiquette, move on to another spot, because we definitely don't want to have any lobster wars out there. I'm sure we will, though. I like to use a net and a tickle stick, and if there's a lot of lobsters on the spot, try to work slowly so you don't spook them. Otherwise, they'll start to walk, and you won't catch as many as you want. And it's always a good idea to go after the biggest lobster of the bunch first. So after you catch a few, you get a feel for which ones are legal and which ones are short. That way you don't waste a lot of time catching them short ones and beating them up also. And then with all the commotion of catching lobsters, it's not uncommon for a big hogfish, grouper, or mutton snapper to show up. So you might want to keep your spear gun or a Hawaiian sling next to you. Keep that ready to go. Definitely be sure to put up the dive flag and measure each lobster before you put it in that catch bag. Follow all the rules because the FWC, they don't play around during the lobster season.
All right, Jimbo, what else you got for us offshore?
Well, we've been catching dolphin pretty consistently in the last week. Most of the fish have been schoolies with an occasional larger fish mixed in. In the last couple of days, the fish have been in 300 to 900 feet of water, which is roughly 4 to 10 miles offshore. We've been finding them under birds and scattered weed lines. We found some good pieces of floating debris that have had fish. Then we found some other really good pieces that look like they should have been loaded but had nothing. So you just got to get lucky on those floaters. The few of the fish are being caught on the troll. And when we find a school, we've been using small live pilchards and cup bonita. A lot of the fish have also been on the short side, so we've been tagging and releasing those small ones. Usually if you hit a school, the larger ones are going to bite first because those are the more aggressive ones, and then they start getting smaller after that. But if you do happen to catch a dolphin with a tag, jot down the location and call it in on the phone number that's on the tag so all this research gets taken care of.
All right, before we go inshore, we're going to take a look at the navionics from your region. Now, so Jimbo, the first thing that comes to mind is we're talking about Bear Cut here. Now, in Bear Cut at nighttime, we've got some really good mangrove snapper fishing going on during this full moon, as well as on the edge of the dock lights or the bridge lights. The tarpon have a tendency to gather there too. So keep that in mind. And then you guys that want to go and do a little diving, understand by looking at these sonar charts, it starts to actually get a lot safer and a lot not quick as drop off as you get a little further off of Key Biscayne. So anyway, what else you got for us, Jimbo? Where are we going? Inshore.
You got it. Well, inshore from Lake Worth Inlet south to Government Cut, the snook have been biting really good. Get out to your local inlet in the evening and drift live baits on both the incoming and outgoing tide. If the water's clear, the outgoing tide is going to be better because it's not going to be so clear. But just about any good live bait will work. Herring, pilchards, pinfish, croakers, whatever's around. You want to fish that live bait on a Jupiter rig with a 40-pound fluorocarbon leader and a 5/0 circle hook. Jigs with soft plastic tails bounce along the bottom. Those are also getting bites. Some of the snook have been up to 25 pounds, but don't forget, this is catch and release only until September 1st. And we also got some bonefish. There's been some really good bonefish in the South Biscayne Bay along the western shoreline from Matheson Hammock south to Turkey Point, and also on the outside flats from Soldiers Key south to Angel Fish Creek. Been mainly an early morning or late afternoon bite, with the outgoing tide being the most productive. The heat of the day, those fish are getting down on the deeper water to stay cool. On the higher stages of the tide, look for fish mudding and tailing on top of the flats. Then on the lower stages, look for the fish along the deeper edges of the flats and channels. You want to fish with live shrimp and small crabs using 15 to 20-pound fluoro leaders and a 2/0 to 3/0 bait keeper hook or fly tackle with crab pattern flies. Now, I got a photo here, and this is Mason Thompson with his first bonefish caught on fly on the ocean side of Elliott Key.
Wow, congratulations, Mason. Good job there. We're going to go ahead and take a look at the hot spots from the southeast region, brought to you by Center State Bank. Captain Jimbo says inshore, work live and artificial baits through your local inlets for catch and release snook fishing. And then offshore, look for the mahis around anything floating offshore and pitch a live and cut baits to the fish.
Stay down deep, guys, because when we return, we're diving headfirst into the Central West region, and then we have some great diving advice coming to you from our Off the Deep End report with Dave Farrell and a special guest. Stay tuned.
Mystery guest.
Very special guest.
Mystery.
The Chevy Florida Insider Fishing Report is brought to you by Chevrolet. Find new roads. Yamaha. Reliability starts here. Contender Boats. Performance through innovation. Humminbird. Simply, clearly better. Decks and Docks Lumber Company. Florida's dock and seawall supplier. And King Sailfish Mounts. www.kingsailfish.com.
All right, guys, we brought you to this construction trailer to talk about trucks today. Anybody know which full-size pickup offers a V8 that can tow up to 12,000 pounds?
The Chevy.
Ram.
I say Ford.
What do you think?
Whoa, what was that?
What are you moving?
We're going. It's the answer to the question, baby. Silverado.
Yep, Chevy Silverado offers best-in-class V8 towing.
You guys weighed me before I came in here?
When you're moving a big offshore boat, it's all about thrust and trust. For thrust, nothing compares to the Yamaha purpose-built 5.3-liter V8 Power Pioneer. And for trust, Yamaha's new F350C model becomes the only outboard in its horsepower class to feature a 5-year limited warranty. Never settle for less than complete confidence and control in the open water. That's Yamaha V8 power. Get the best and forget the rest.
It's one of the most ancient forms of hide and seek known to man. And nobody knows how to play the fishing game better than the backcountry guides and offshore captains of the Florida Keys and Key West. Ready or not, here we come.
And now it's time for the FWC News and Notes. July 23rd is the Women's Saltwater Fishing Clinic in Panama City, and September 17th there's a Kids Fishing Clinic in Sarasota. For more information, visit myfwc.com. But now it's time to go off the deep end.
So Hummingbird takes us off the deep end here at the CCA Workbench, Dave.
Yep.
We brought in our underwater specialist, George Bustamante.
The mystery guest.
The mystery guest, he's here. So Georgie, you know, there's so many different products that they're using now to film stuff underwater, whether it's video, whether it's still pictures. So why don't you give us a few tricks of the trade that would actually make us better?
First and foremost, lighting. I mean, you want your pictures to be lit, you want them to look good, you want everything about it. So if you're shooting above water, you know, your early hours of the morning, sunrise, or evening shots are better because the sun's lower, we call it golden hour, and that's just lighting your face. It's got that orange light, it makes everything pop and glow and look really picture perfect, if you will.
The perfect light.
Perfect light. And then, you know, when you're shooting and talking video and you're jumping in the water, even doing underwater stuff, you want the light more overhead, noontime. You know, it's going to give you a nice even light. The water's going to reflect the light in the water, so it's going to give you a nice even light. You're not wearing your hat. You're not going to have any shadows. And you know, your cameras nowadays, all your GoPros and stuff, have great automatic settings, so you don't have to worry about nothing. Just hit record and go.
More light penetrates deeper, and that's when you see more colors and everything as well.
So during the day, the high parts of the day, sun straight overhead, is that the best time to shoot video?
That's the best time to get in the water. I mean, yeah, it's going to give you that very natural look. It's not going to be hard coming in one side, giving you dark spots. You know, if you have to get in the water early in the morning, you know, always try and get the sun behind you so it's still lighting what you're looking at.
Right.
But you're going to get a lot more of the light rays, and it's just going to be, you know, that much more. It's a little bit more difficult, but, you know, it's possible.
So tell me what here we are, this amberjack we caught down in the Marquese is there something specific when you're in the water, I'm up above doing the fishing, is there certain things that you look for me to do to help set up that shot?
A lot of it's being at the right place at the right time. You can't tell the fish, hey, bite the lure like right here, because this is like where the spot is. So, you know, you obviously want to position yourself between the lure and the boat so that when you cast, I'm filming, you know, that lure coming at me the whole time. And in the event, like that amberjack, it eats that lure right in front of the camera and you get the shot.
The closer the better,
yeah.
Especially underwater. And when you're using any of the GoPro, any of the little fixed lens cameras, the closer you get to your subject, the better it's going to be. Because, you know, if you're using one of those little GoPros, let's say, if anything's further than 10 or 15 feet away, it's going to look tiny. And
also in murky water, like you saw the video of the tarpon. I mean, that tarpon was 1.5 feet down in where we're in Marathon, and you get all that silt and stuff. So, I mean, you want to be as close as you can, because obviously the less silt that you have, the clearer it's going to look and the sharper it's going to look, and it's not going to be all like, oh, why is it blurry and just,
Okay, so what do you do on the days like when we have fronts and we're out shooting sailfish photos? What do you do to manipulate that situation?
So Underwater lights, they can be very expensive. That's why a lot of people don't have them. That's why, you know, the sun is your best option. But if you have the underwater lights, yeah, you can position those sailfish with the rays coming through. The sun is obviously behind, and then those lights, when you click, that flash is going to go off and light and expose everything. And it's a little bit more complicated, but no, that's what we use.
Yeah, it is what we use. So, okay, so a guy's been shooting a GoPro for several years now, thinking about upgrading. You got any place that he should start, equipment-wise?
Certainly a DSLR. I mean, quality is going to be your best bet. I mean, that's really the only difference. You're also going to have to know a lot more of your settings because, I mean, you can throw it in auto, but once you're starting to use a bigger, large format camera like that, you're going to be more detailed in what specifically you're looking for as far as, you know, the shutter speed or your aperture for more light, less light, focus distance. Wide angle lens always close to your subject.
You got any other questions?
No, I don't.
You don't?
No.
Georgie, thank you so much for coming in. We appreciate it in a very big way. I learned a lot. You really help us a lot. Bree?
Yep.
I need some more help. We need to go to another.
Well, Rick, I know you learned a lot. I mean, you do love to be under the water, so.
Oh.
Yeah, right. Okay, Captain Jeff Page is giving you your weekend diving and fishing report, of course, from the Central West Startron region. Hey, Jeff.
Hey, y'all. Hey, George, good job over there.
He says thank you.
Good job over there, George.
He didn't hear
Thank
you, Paige.
you from
all right,
George.
well,
that was George's voice.
He is an amazing underwater photographer.
Yes, he is.
All right.
Anyway, in our Startron Central West region, we have a variety of diving to suit all levels of divers. First, you know, the shallow water snorkeling from the rocks off Captiva Island to the south, and then the old Florida River, which goes along the coast right by the Venice Jetty down towards the Venice Fishing Pier, where, by the way, trophy shark's teeth are found regularly by snorkelers. And then rocks off South Siesta Beach, known as Point of Rocks, as well as Longboat in Egmont Key, where we've done a cool place to check out on Sportsman's Adventures before. Lots of easy, accessible snorkeling for the beginner and the advanced. As for advanced scuba divers, we have a lot of nearshore wrecks and reefs to choose from, and the county tag office, as well as a lot of your better tackle and dive shops, have charts with GPS coordinates to many of the wrecks and reefs. If you're looking for a guided trip, it's tough to beat Captain Marty Martell out of Marina Jacks or Blue Water Explorers out of Braden Beach. Any way you want to dive, we have it here in the Central West region. I've got a photo tonight from a diver friend of mine named Devin York, and it's not the clearest, but those are two big cobia that he's looking at and maybe gets a shot at. I'm not sure if he ever did.
All right, Paige, what else do you have for us offshore?
Goliath grouper, like you've always said, Rick, when the water's hot, when it's tough, it's easy to find these Goliaths, and the Goliath bite is off the chain. And the cool thing about it, unlike the gag and red groupers, which in the most part are at least 100 feet of water on out, the Goliath this time of year, he's playing in 35, 40 feet of water. But be warned, don't bring a little rod and reel to a gunfight because you'll get beat. And large jack, a mullet, dead or alive, is great bait, along with a cut-up chunk of a stingray or a cow-nose ray, which are plentiful this time of year. From Boca Grande to Egmont Key, the Goliath bite is the most predictable big game bite during these hot summer months. Got a photo tonight of our friend down in Boca Grande, Matt Haig, and a happy client of his with a big Goliath they got yesterday.
Man, that is a big one, Paige. All right, let's go inshore, Bub.
Speckled trout, good trout bite going on throughout the entire region. My guys to the south, guys in Venice and Englewood are giving good reports. Some real nice 16 to 22-inch trout being taken on live free-line filters and grunts. Don't forget the grunt. As well as saltwater assassin 4-inch she shad in the Mama's 14-carat rigged on a quarter-ounce silver assassin jig head. I've got a trout photo tonight of one of our Sarasota fishing camp campers, 8-year-old Ryland Marsh, and Captain Jeremy with a big trout he got yesterday.
That's a great picture, Paige. Love it. All right, tell me.
2 mangrove snapper. Another one with the heat, the mangs don't seem to mind. And with this full moon we got going on, where we just came off of, the snapper bite is going off. And the cool thing, you can catch a lot of them by land. You don't have to have a boat. Bridges and pier fishermen, Skyway Pier, Longboat Pass Bridge, New Pass Bridge, Ringling Causeway, all good spots to catch snappers. The key, Rick, has been light fluorocarbon leader, like 12 to 15 pound, coupled with a small number 2 mustad light demon wire hook. Shrimp or pilchards are working as well. And I haven't said it enough this year. Y'all get you a Chevy truck.
Hey, Paige, I got a question for you before you go.
All
So
right.
you're standing on the Skyway Bridge and you're fishing. Do guys hang chum bags off of the Skyway Bridge to help bring the fish to them?
You know, I'm sure they do, but I have to be honest, Rick. I've never actually seen guys doing it, but I'm sure they do, because those guys off that Skyway Pier are veterans.
Yeah, they are. All right, bud, we'll talk to you again next week. We're going to go ahead and take a look at the hot spots from the Central West region. Captain Page says offshore, amberjacks, big AJs eating anything that moves on the wrecks and the reefs in 85 to 105 feet of water. Tarpon inshore, good dead bait bite off of North Longboat Key. Use dead menhaden or thread fins on the bottom.
All right, it's time for Ask Captain Rick. Rick, I hope you're ready, because these guys look like they have some great questions.
They're serious.
So will you, little Missy here, say your name and your question, please?
Hi, I'm Alicia Francisco, and what or who inspired you to be the fisher you are today?
Well, I guess because I'm not a very smart guy and I just don't ever want to give up. But the truth is, my uncle was a weekend bass pro. And what he did is he had a lot of girls, 7 kids, most of them were girls. And so as I was growing up, he exposed me to the fishing. So I'd go bass fishing with him from time to time. And then also I had a grandfather that had a house over in the Bahamas. So it just seemed like I didn't have a choice. No matter where I went, I was being exposed to fishing, and I'm so glad that it happened. And then as far as becoming a fishing guide, no, it's something that I did a long time ago. I really love duck hunting, and I couldn't make a living just duck hunting 90 days a year, which is about what the duck season was. So I had to figure out another way to make money the other 300 days. So anyway, that's my story.
He also loves spear fishing.
Oh, boy.
Just kidding. I'm going to get him all night. Okay, now your question, your name, and where are you from?
Hi, I'm Dave. I'm from Homestead. And what species of fish now are you required to use circle hooks?
That's a great question. You know, that's came up in the last few weeks. You're required, certainly, for billfish, Dave, you got to use circle hooks for?
Using bait in a tournament.
Yeah.
You have to use a circle hook.
Okay, so there it is. And then also snappers and groupers, when you're fishing, you have to use a circle hook if you're using bait. Now, if you're using a jig, you don't have to have a circle hook. You're using artificial plastics or bucktails, you don't have to use a circle hook. But some of the jig manufacturers are starting to make jigs with circle hooks. We had that on the new products last week. So you can go to the bait and tackle store and look for those things. Thank you guys so much for the questions. And you know what, Bree's right. I love getting into the water as long as it's only this deep when I'm waiting for bonefish. Daddy doesn't like to get in the water. We'll talk about that a little more in a minute.
Why get in the water when you have a perfectly good floating boat? Right, Rick?
That's right.
Right. If you have a question for Captain Rick, send in a good quality horizontal video to our website, ChevyFloridaFishingReport.com. And remember, the question should be 30 seconds or less. All right, stick around. There's lots more to come. When we return, we'll check in with the Northeast and Northwest regions right here on the Chevy Florida Insider Fishing and Diving Report.
The Chevy Florida Insider Fishing Report is brought to you by Bass Assassin and Saltwater Assassin, the best lures, period. Blue Water Outriggers, everything for your outdoor adventures. The American Fishing Tackle Company, precision tackle and performance clothing since 1958. Costa Sunglasses, see what's out there. And Casa Vieja Lodge, 5-star angling in beautiful Guatemala.
think it's time to change my battery. Now you do it.
Get AC Delco batteries at Bennett Auto Supply. Plus, get $10 off your first online purchase when you register at BennettAuto.com.
Bennett Auto Supply. Do it yourself, but not alone.
How can you turn a redfish into a new truck or boat? Catch a CCA Florida Star-tagged redfish. Prizes from Conley Buick GMC, Contender, Pathfinder, Hells Bay Boat Works, and Sea Hunt boats. Complete with Yamaha motor and trailer. Win your share of $500,000 in prizes and college scholarships during the summer-long tournament. Other great prizes from Academy Sports and Outdoors, Bad Boy Buggies, Power Pole, Costa Sunglasses, and more. Register now at ccaflstar.com.
As close as you're gonna get to a sure thing for catching billfish is Casa Vieja Lodge.
They're here, man. This has been a 20-year run, buddy. These things haven't left, this whole cycle. When it comes to sail fishing, this is the real deal. The amount of sailfish here is ridiculous.
Today, we're talking about cars, but there's a catch. You're only going to answer me in emojis. This all-new 2016 Chevy Cruze has built-in 4G LTE Wi-Fi with 24 gigs of data. Wow. Describe how you feel about the Cruze.
It's pretty darn cool, man.
It's hot. Simple as that.
The Honda Civic doesn't have all of that.
Is that a Ninja?
Can't be seen in this car.
Nice.
Remember, for weekly reports from our 9 captains, you can go to our website at ChevyFloridaInsiderFishingReport.com or CFIFR.com. Also, don't forget to like us on Facebook and follow us on Instagram at OfficialInsider. And Captain Rick Murphy. Okay, fine. We would love to see those fish-tastic photos of yours on our Instagram or Facebook by using the hashtag CFIFR. Now we're headed to the Starbright Northeast region with Captain Tommy Derringer, but instead of FaceTiming, we're kind of really lucky to have him right here in the studio.
Here.
You're here.
I'm excited.
First
Weird
off,
to look
it's
up,
not
Tommy.
the Starbright, it's the Strike Zone Northeast region, so I fixed that for you guys.
Thanks, Rick. You're always there.
But anyway, so Tommy,
catch
you
me when I
came
fall.
down and we were filmed the Sportsman's Adventures. We fished Key Largo, permit and bonefish. Had a tough couple days. We did catch a bonefish, jumped 3 tarpon while we were out there.
Yep.
And then to make it a little better, we thought, well, let's do the comparison. US 1 runs right down the middle of the Florida Keys. Let's go on the backcountry side.
And it was good today.
Yeah.
That was cool, man. We pulled up, there was tarpon and snook going crazy, pilchards jumping all over the place. I mean, it's the good stuff today.
So how you like my backyard?
I like it a lot. Thanks for having me.
Oh, I'm happy to have you. Thank you for coming down. I know how busy you are, got young kids.
Yeah, I love fishing with you guys. It was great.
Yeah.
I didn't get invited. Once again.
Because you had to stay home and take care of the dog.
Oh, look at that. Look at that little thing. Okay, well.
Go ahead.
Pick up your hat. Go ahead
Go
with your
ahead.
report, Tommy.
Well, as far as diving goes, we don't have the clearest of water for snorkeling and sightseeing underneath the water, but we do have some world-class spearfishing in the Strike Zone Northeast region. Now, right now, one of the target species is going to be flounder, and a lot of spear fishermen are going to hit the nearshore reefs and wrecks from Jacksonville down to St. Augustine, all the way down to Flagler, looking for flounder, and they're going to be using a simple pole spear, and it's fairly easy to limit out if you know where to look. Now, I did speak to my buddy, Scott Patrow, who is an avid spear fisherman, and he tells me that right now you really need to get out deeper as the thermocline tends to move in and dirty up the water in those closer in spots. And he says he's typically diving in 80 foot and deeper, and the main targets are going to be snapper, grouper, cobia, and amberjacks, just depending on the season. Now, our region is known for its monster lobsters, and Scott tells me those lobsters are going to average 5 pounds, and quite a few are going to be pushing that 10-pound mark. Now, those lobster are typically caught in 70+ foot of water on live bottom ledges, and I got a picture here. This is Scott Patrow and John Ginn with a couple of those Mamma Jamma big lobsters.
That's not real.
And their recent catch from their dive out of St. Augustine.
Sorry, that's crazy.
Dang, look at those lobsters. See, that's one thing I will never catch. One that big, because Daddy ain't getting in.
Okay, go on, Tommy.
Staying offshore, we've had a nice little run of cobia on some of the nearshore stuff this week. While there hasn't been huge numbers of fish caught, a lot of the captains I've spoke to, This week I've been catching a couple nice ones on just about every trip. I spoke with Captain Gibb from theangryseas.com, and he tells me he's been both jigging and live baiting the cobia on areas like Interplane, 9 Mile, and other nearshore wrecks. Now, some of those cobia have been a little shy, but Captain Gibb told me you can get them fired up by chumming them up either with live pogies or sardines. And if you get one hooked up, you want to have another rod ready as he comes up, because he's probably going to have a buddy or two following him up to the surface. I got another picture here. This is Captain Gibb with a nice cobia he caught right there at 9 Mile Reef out of St. Augustine.
What a great picture. All right, Tommy, what do you got for us inshore?
Well, you know, it's a great time of year to get out at first light and toss a topwater skitterwalk for redfish. That topwater bite's only been lasting about the first hour of daylight, so make sure to get on it early this weekend. We've been using the trout pattern skitterwalks this week, and we're tossing that topwater plug right around the finger mullet schools. If you do get out early enough, the tide's still going to be low, and you can find those schools of mullet right along the ICW, and more specifically, look along the shell bars right on the ICW from St. Augustine all the way to Fernandina, as those areas have been loaded with those finger mullet on the lower tide. Now, if you get out late in the afternoon, we've got some of those negative low tides again, and that means the redfish will be bunching up in both the creek holes and up on the flats. I spoke with Captain Buzz Brannon from NortheastFloridaAngling.com, and he tells me he's been doing really well in the Dunn's Creek area on the last of the outgoing and the first of the incoming tides. And he's using either small finger mullet or mud minnows on a jig head, and he's working those deeper creek bends and oyster bars. Now, he's having his clients move the bait as slow as possible, which is really key, as those redfish are slowing down as the air and water temperatures are really heating up during the day. Now, I got a picture here. This is Bailey Rhodes with a nice redfish she caught with Captain Buzz right near Dunn's Creek in Jacksonville, and you can tell she's really stoked about that redfish.
Oh, cute picture.
Now, staying inshore, you know, I've been talking about flounder quite a bit over the last few weeks, and they're still chewing. And we have a really good summer flounder run, but this year's been really, really good. I spoke with one of our resident flounder pounders, Captain Rob Bennett from coastalfish.net, and he told me he's been wearing the flatties out this week. Rob's targeting runouts right along the ICW, closer to the inlets on that outgoing tide. Rob says staying close to either St. Augustine or Matanzas Inlet has been working well, as the water temperatures are going to probably be a few degrees cooler there. He said he's going to use a typical mullet or mud minnow on a jig head rig, but he's also been having some great success using a popping cork and about 20 inches of leader along with a 3/0 VMC circle hook. Now, Rob's going to attach a small split shot about 3 inches above the bait, and that rig allows the bait to suspend just enough off the bottom so the float can move with the tide and it gets right in that flounder strike zone.
All right, so Tommy, before we go any further, you know, you're talking about flounder, and when we were talking in the break, tell them about pole flounder, diving, whatever we were. That was so foreign to me, but I didn't know they did that.
Yeah, there's a group of guys, pretty core group of guys that go out there and they wear the flounder out on some of the nearshore stuff. This time of year, the water clarity can be kind of a little sketchy with the thermocline. When it moves in, it gets dirty. But they get down there, and it's a pretty easy shot. You know, those flounders are laid up. You can see the outline in the sand. And they're using a pole spear. It's a lot of fun.
And they're using scuba doing that or free diving?
They're doing both. Most guys are scuba, but some of those guys, they get down there, man, no tank. I don't know, I wouldn't do it.
How deep's that water?
It's, 30 to 50 feet.
Woo. Do you remember when we were in the Bahamas and I pole speared that lionfish?
Yeah, I do.
That's what a pole spear is.
I know.
Under the water. Okay, well,
I know what a pole
sometimes
spear,
we're a
but
little challenged with underwater things.
Not.
Tommy, you can do this for a living. You're so good. And I know you want to give a shout out to some little people that you have in your life.
Yeah,
Say hi.
Well, my daughter Avon is like your biggest fan, Bree.
I love her. She's so cute.
Hi, Avon. See you tomorrow.
Is she like,
too, right?
she thinks she's the mermaid or something?
Easton and my wife Lena too. Thank you. Thanks for saving me. Appreciate it.
Good job, Tommy.
Thank you so much for coming in, Tommy. We're going to go ahead and take a look at the strike zone northeast hotspots. Captain Tommy says inshore, top water skitterwalk plugs for redfish first thing in the morning throughout the entire region. As it heats up, you want to move to the deeper creek holes with live bait. And then offshore, amberjacks on the near shore and offshore wrecks. Use live pinfish or grunts for those guys.
Well, someone I know who likes to do a little diving for scallops is Captain Jeff Hageman from the YETI Northwest region. Hag, give us the lowdown.
How you guys doing tonight?
Good.
Really
How are you,
good.
Hag?
I am doing great. I'm actually sitting at Randy Towns Marina. I'm at Lorelei's watching the sunset right now.
I've been there.
For a buddy of mine's
I've been
wedding.
there. That's nice.
Nice.
Oh, yeah.
All right, so give it to us.
We got some great spearfishing and great diving in my region. Some of the best grouper fishing in Florida in our region. We're known for it. That underwater hunting with a spear gun is something people in our region love to do. We've got fish from anywhere from 8 feet of water on out to 130 feet of water. Now, we don't have a lot of pretty stuff to dive like you got down here in the Keys, but we have tanks and wrecks and stuff like that to dive in salt water. But what we do have a lot of in my region is we have a ton of springs. So if you like to cave dive or even snorkel in the springs, we've got a ton of that all throughout my region, all the way up to the Panhandle. Lots of springs, and makes for some great cave diving and some great snorkeling. But what we do have going on right now, it's not quite diving, but it's snorkeling. We have scallop season going on right now, and we're going to get to go do this pretty soon, the whole bunch of us from the show. Mario Costello's right now out of Crystal River in Homestead has been very good this year and getting better and better. If you haven't done this before, it's a cool thing to do with a family. Give it a shot. They run scallop trips out of there. It's a really big, popular thing. It's kind of like lobster in the Keys. Everybody goes and scallops over in Homestead and Crystal River. Reports right now doing best in 4 to 5 footer water on low tide. As the tide comes up, you want to try and move a little shallower, just for the ease of getting them. If you start getting too deep, you're going to get winded. Gomez Rocks has been a good place, and that's in that little bit shallower water at low tide. You're looking at 3 to 4. So that area is really good in producing a lot of scallops. Limits are coming in fairly easy. Half day, getting limited out on a boatload of people. Moving offshore, the gag and red grouper bite has been good throughout the region. Fish relatively shallow to deep, producing some good catches. Gags on the rock piles and ledges and 70 to 130, and as shallow as 40 still, being caught on pigfish and pinfish. The red grouper bite has been on that flat rock Swiss cheese bottom. We have a lot of that limestone in my region, and that's what I'm talking about with that flat rock. They get in these little holes and crevices. Kind of hard to mark on your bottom machine, so pay attention. A little blip can turn into an entire cavern system that you can't really see on your bottom machine, but just a little bit. You want to stop the fish. If you see bait on it, get on that, drop the pinfish down, or cut sardine or a piece of squid, and it's producing some good fish. Right now, those fish have been in anywhere from 55 to 90 feet of water. And also offshore, the mangrove snapper bite has been outstanding all summer long. Some great fish and some great sizes in those fish too. In the bay, all the way out the shipping channel, offshore, any high relief structure right now, holding lots of fish and a ton of them. Fish, you want to fish 20 to 15-pound fluorocarbon leader. Hooked as small as possible. They got great eyesight, so you want to downsize your gear if you're not getting bit. Just enough lead to get to the bottom. 1-aught or 1 size circle hook, tail hook shrimp, great bait. Or a tail hook pinfish and a knocker rig style is also working well. And the fish are averaging anywhere from 1 to 5 pounds.
So, Hag, what are you doing in the beautiful Florida Keys?
I got a good friend of mine getting married, and I'm actually the best man in the wedding. And we're down here. It's windy. We haven't gone to go fishing yet, so we went down and did a little tour of beautiful Key West today, and we're watching the sunset. It's Lorelai's tonight, and the wind's going to stop blowing, and hopefully we're going to go yellowtail fishing tomorrow. The boat's in the ready. We're all baited up, and boat's in the water, and we're ready to go.
So the wedding's this weekend?
Yeah, this Saturday.
All right. Well, tell him congratulations, and
have fun.
Yeah, man. Have fun. Be safe, though, okay, bub?
Oh, yeah.
All right. I know how you like those sunsets and the rum and cokes all at the same time.
Or the open, never mind.
That?
Open water.
All right, so
diving.
we're going to go ahead and take a look at the Florida Outdoor Experience hotspots from the Northwest Yeti region. Inshore, snook on the beaches and around the passes use sardines, pigfish, and pinfish, free line, or with just enough lead to keep them down in the current. And then offshore, gag groupers bite in 70 to 120 feet of water off of the flat rocks, rock piles, and ledges. Use pinfish and cut sardines on a standard bottom.
Do you see what this is?
Nope.
This is my halo. Okay guys, time to do your breathe ups. When we return, we're jumping into the East region and then taking a look at some new diving products at the CCA Workbench. You won't want to miss it. What are you looking at, Dave?
Speaking of for new products.
Oh, wow.
Does this make my butt look fat?
Yes. Yes, it does.
The Chevy Florida Insider Fishing Report is brought to you by the Florida Keys and Key West. Come as you are. FWC, the Florida Fish and Wildlife Conservation Commission. Navionics, we start where the road ends. SoftScience, supreme comfort footwear. Center State Bank. We believe in community. Real legends, exclusively at Bell's. And Maverick Boat Group, makers of premium boat brands Maverick, Hughes, and Pathfinder.
At Yamaha, reliability is a family tradition. Meet the next generation. 4 new advanced technology-inspired inline 4-cylinder performers. Bred from the reliability and boater satisfaction that is part of Yamaha's DNA. They prove that when power gets lighter, faster, stronger, and smarter, boating gets even better. And more satisfying for boaters like you.
You know there's more to it than luck. There's fishing the right bait, the water temperature, the wind, the season, and then there's the boat. We'll put it simply, the boat matters. To own a Contender is to own the best sport fishing boat on the market, period. Contender offers the most comprehensive model range with bigger, faster, and more fuel-efficient boats than the competition. There's only one choice for serious anglers. Contender boats. Performance through innovation.
Shallow Rap Shad's a jerkbait with a secret move. When you pause, the lure slowly rises. I tell you, man, it makes fish come unglued.
Welcome back to the Chevy Florida Insider Fishing Report here at the CCA Workbench. And Dave,
yeah,
I'm ready to go.
Yeah, you know, I've been, if you're a Florida person and you grew up in Florida, you're going to get certified to be a diver usually. I mean, if you like to go in the water. You don't like to go in the water, so you never done that.
I wonder what, is this bathtub rated?
Yeah, it probably is. But this is a nice, it's a Cressy, it's a BC. It's an Aqua Ride BC. And what a BC does, it's a buoyancy compensator. And what it does is it lets you fill it with air. You know, your tank goes on there, and you fill that thing with air until you get perfectly buoyant in the water. And that way you don't have to worry about going up and down all the time. You have your weights on here and everything, and it keeps you perfect. But there, let's take it off real quick if you think you can. Can you get it off? All right. Well, this thing, it comes with really nice weight releases in here. They're streamlined. They're inside the pack, so your weights go in here.
Oh, okay.
So they're not on your belt, and when you want a quick release, you just pull them right out, and they'll fall. It's also got really nice big pockets in the front. It's got D-rings all over it, so you can attach stuff to it. You know, it's just a really nice thing to have. If you're going to go diving these days, everybody uses a BC. It has 30 pounds of buoyancy, so you know that's the medium. It'll pick you up and get you to the surface when you need to get there quick. It's got several ways to release the air, you know, from each side, and a mouthpiece on the other side if your tank, you know, if you need to blow it up yourself. And you know, when you got a big tank on your back, anything you can have to help you keep you floating and buoyant, it's a great thing. And you know, back when I started, when I was 17 years old, we didn't have BCs and stuff. I used just a plain old strap tank. You know, it was just a tank. So I had to use a lot of weights, and you had to get your weights perfect. Now you get enough weight, and you can level yourself out.
So let me get this right. You got a weight in here, so it helps you get down. But then
Correct.
when you're ready to come back up, you just take the weight out and.
No, you fill this up with more air, and you'll go up. You only use those emergency if you're in an emergency and you want to ditch those weights to get to the surface.
Yeah.
That's what those are for. You know, you can
gotcha.
pull them right out and get to the top.
I gotcha.
All right, now these are really cool Scuba Pros, Sea-Wing Nova fins. You know, they got this twin beam design here. This thing right here is called a twin beam design, so that the whole end will flutter, and it gives you a lot more power. Evidently, you know, I had the old set of Scuba Pro Turbo fins, and they would they would wear you out, man. They were really thick and wide. They had big holes going through them, and but they would wear your arch out. But these are really way more comfortable. What's really cool about these is, you know, you always have the problem, you know, adjusting them. These have a built-in bungee cord system, so if these things get real tight on you, and they'll stay on. You don't have to worry about messing them and adjusting them all the time.
Now, obviously, I know nothing about this. So, what do you put, a sock? Or
yeah, you wear a booty,
Yeah.
or you know, I wouldn't wear a sock, but you can get the little zip-up booties neoprene booties to wear in them.
that keeps you from getting blisters.
Get all rashed up. Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah. Okay, now this is well, actually we'll do the regulators first. This is a Hollis regulator. This is the 200 XL regulator, and you know, really nice equipment they've got these days. You know that this sucker, it has an adjustment on the side to you know, adjust your flow, and it's also got a Venturi lever on the side too. It, you know, makes it go where you want it to go. Really nice mouthpiece. Extremely flexible, braided, and strong cables on these things.
Right.
On the second stage here, it's fully rotatable. I mean, it rotates very freely, so when you get it on your tank, you don't have to mess with it a whole lot. It'll go to where it's supposed to go.
So why do you carry two, Dave?
Well, you have an extra in case this one freezes up or something. This one also has extra hoses, your high pressure hose for your depth gauge, and it also has another high pressure hose that goes to your BC, and it also has an extra port if you want to have a wireless transmitter that'll either transmit your depth or anything to a watch or a dive computer.
Speaking of a watch,
is what we have here. This is the Suunto Zoop Novo computer, and Suunto, actually, I have the very first GPS watch that was ever made. It was made by these same fellows.
Really?
Yeah, but that's got a huge display on the front, so it has really big characters. And when you're underwater, you know, in low light, you want to have big things to look at. It's got only 4 little buttons on it, so you don't have to worry about a ton of buttons to push. Again, you're usually wearing gloves when you're diving, so you need to have big, you know, big buttons and not very many of them to get them. This is a computer that'll do air nitrox, and it has alarms for all the places where you need to stop, and it'll set a time for you. That's okay. You need to sit here for 10 minutes to, you know, so you don't bend up and get nitrogen narcosis or actually when the nitrogen bubbles in your blood, the bends. You don't want to get those, and those little computers help you do that. We used to have to memorize little charts back in the day, and now you can get all that stuff and wear it on your wrist.
You still dive?
I haven't dove much in a long time. And it's a shame because I've been to a lot of the greatest places. I've dove in the Marshall Islands and Guadeloupe and Australia, and it's always fun.
As we get older, I guess we would need more weight to get down there.
Yeah, no, I used to do brave, stupid things. I'd dive in the lakes here at night. You know, when I was 17.
You
it was
come
just
from
crazy
Orlando
stuff.
to do this show every week. That's
Right.
pretty brave. And
Yeah,
stupid.
exactly.
All right, Bree, what do you got?
I can't wait for you to get brave and just dive on in, Rick. That'll happen. That day will happen, and it's going to happen when we're scalloping. Are you excited?
I'm excited.
I know, you're excited.
Thrilled.
Okay, the Decks and Docks East region is perfect for diving off the beaches, with the clearest water being in Palm Beach County, and Mike Holliday is on the line to tell you all about it.
That's right, Bree. You know, as a rule, the further south you go in my region, the better the water clarity, and the closer the deep water diving is to shore. Now, with that being said, Palm Beach County has all the artificial reefs you can want to dive. But when it comes to natural reefs, places like Tex Lake and North and South Beaches and Martin and St. Lucie County, those are the places to snorkel and dive that living reef type of scenario. Spearfishing is really good on the natural and artificial reefs, but if you're chasing tropical fish for your fish tank, the natural rock ledges that run parallel to the coast in like 12 to 25 feet of water, those are the spots to hunt. If lobster are what you're after, then the reef from the St. Lucie Inlet south all the way to Hope Sound Beach, and also the reef north of Fort Pierce that runs all the way up to Vero Beach, those are the 2 largest areas that get a lot of diving pressure, but they're also the areas that produce those 10-pound bugs that you hear about during the mini-season. Don't overlook the smaller patch reefs that you can dive from shore between Stewart Beach and South Beach and Fort Pierce, because they hold a lot of lobster, they hold a lot of fish, and they hold a lot of tropicals, but what they don't get is a lot of pressure. Moving on to the fish, the catch and release snook fishing has just been fantastic in all the inlets along the beach south of Jupiter Inlet, off Hope Sound, and at South Beach and Fort Pierce. As we get into July, those red minnows and juvenile pilchards begin to school outside the inlets and along the beaches. So find the bait, you find the fish. It's really just that simple. Look for the snook to be schooling on the rock polyps and hunting the troughs close to shore. So most of the best fishing is in less than 10 feet off of the beach. At dawn and dusk, you can take a step or 2 into the water and cast like a saltwater assassin, 4-inch shad, and copper juice or electric chicken. Throw it parallel to the beach and just reel it back slowly. Don't give it any action. Or if you like to fly fish, you can blind cast pretty much any bait fish pattern, working along the outside edges of the bait schools, and you'll do great. Once the sun gets up, it's time to switch to live pilchards, threadfins, sardines, and then cast to the cruising fish or work the schools that are along the rock piles. Don't overlook the Juneau Beach and Lake Worth piers this time of year. They'll have some huge fish on them right now. Average snook in my region is going to be 8 to 12 pounds. And I got a photo. That's Will George. He caught that giant snook while fly fishing with his dad, Will Sr., and that fish ate a popping bug. So even the flies are going to be working on those fish right now.
All right, what do you got for us offshore, bub?
Well, you know, I'm kind of starting to rethink whether winter is the best time to target sailfish in my region, because the summertime sailfish bite is not only very consistent, but it also takes place in calm seas. Like the winter bite, the fish are traveling in small groups, so the majority of hookups lead to multiples if you leave a bait or two in the water. The fish are really spread out with no rhyme or reason to where they're holding, although they do tend to be around the bait schools or on the artificial reefs, and also along the color changes. And there's free jumpers and floating fish all over the place, but they don't seem to be super aggressive right now. So troll ballyhoo isn't doing nearly as well as live bait is, although you can kind of skew that bite in your favor by adding a dredge or a flash or teaser behind your boat. The boats that are live chumming with small pilchards and then throwing larger pilchards to the fish that show up, those are the ones that are having those 5 and 6 sailfish days right now. Average sailfish is going to be 30 to 50 pounds. The other bite, this is the mutton moon. It's that time of year when the mutton snapper gather on the reefs to spawn. So places like the Juneau Ledge, the Loran Tower Ledge, the Sand Pile, Peck's Lake, and the 80-foot reef off Fort Pierce are just littered with muttons right now. The best fishing is at night, but a lot of nice fish are being caught during the daytime. Start your day with, you know, a 50-foot, 40 to 60-pound fluorocarbon leader, 4.0 to 6.0 circle hook, and either a pilchard, a threadfin, a sardine, or a cigar minnow. If you can find, you know, live crabs right now, they're like hors d'oeuvres to those muttons. And in a pinch, a chunk of bonito or a squid will work as well, especially on the smaller fish. Average mutton snapper in my region is going to be 3 to 8 pounds, with fish to 18 pounds in the mix. And just to give you an idea of what we're seeing, I got a photo there. That's Kobe White of Fort Pierce. He caught that big mutton snapper. He was fishing on the Floridian charter boat out of Stewart with Captain Glenn Cameron, and that fish ate a live Spanish sardine.
Yes, he certainly did, Mike. All right, let's talk a little bit about bass fishing.
Well, despite the summer heat, we've had a lot of easterly winds, and those winds have fired up the bass bite on Lake Kissimmee, and that's kept the fish feeding well into the day. If you're looking for numbers, find the moving water. You know, places like where the river runs into the lake, or anywhere on the south end of the lake where you have boat channels where the wind can drive the water through the grass and move it through those channels. Look for birds or fish busting bait in those areas, and you can throw a lipless crankbait or a topwater plug in the shad colors. You can throw a white spinnerbait and do rail. Most of the fish in those areas are going to be schoolies in that 1 to 2 pound class. But if you're looking for big fish, you want to flip the lily pad mats and the root balls out in the middle of the main lake. Don't go along the shoreline. Out in the middle of the main lake, like around Rabbit Island, pick apart the edges of the mats with a June bug or a black and blue or even a red shad, green glitter colored crawfish. You know, use ounce to ounce and a half weight. Seems like red shad does really well this time of the year. Another thing you can do, use your side imaging on your Humminbird Helix. Find the brush piles in 10 to 12 feet of water up in the North Cove. Flip them or bounce a Carolina rig. You won't get as many bites, but, you know, where you're going to find that 5-fish limit that'll win the tournament is going to be in those areas. Windy days are making waves on Lake Kissimmee right now.
Hollywood, great report this week, very thorough. I'm going to go ahead and take a look at the hot spots from the East region. Inshore, catch and release from the beach at Hobe Sound on the Snook at the Wildlife Refuge. Sight cast them with bait fish flies or 4-inch copper juice sea sads. And then offshore, high-speed troll for wahoo at dawn off of Palm Beach in 200 to 400 feet of water. Pull big lures on wire lines or make sure you add a trolling weight, Bree.
Okay, Rick, the Panhandle and Southwest regions are up next for our dive drop, so stay treading. We'll be right back on the Chevy, Florida Insider Fishing Report. And our beautiful audience, of course.
The Chevy Florida Insider Fishing Report is brought to you by Rapala. Catch the latest at Rapala.com. StarTron cures and prevents ethanol fuel problems. YETI, built for the wild. CCA Florida, the voice of recreational anglers for over 30 years. Strike Zone Fishing, your fish hunt paddle store. And Guy Harvey, marine wildlife artist and conservationist.
No matter where you are in Florida, Decks and Docks Lumber Company has got you covered for decking, seawall, and dock piling. From the Keys to the Panhandle and the Nature Coast to the Space Coast, we deliver the strongest products by the hardest working folks in the business. Whether you're fixing a dock or building a marina, go with the leader. Go with Decks and Docks. Supplying Florida's boaters, homeowners, and dock builders for over 20 years.
All right, guys, we brought you to this construction trailer to talk about trucks today. Anybody know which full-size pickup offers a V8 that can tow up to 12,000 pounds?
The Chevy.
It's Ram.
I say Ford.
What do you think?
Whoa, what was that?
What are you moving?
We're going. It's the answer to the question, baby.
Silverado. Yep, Chevy Silverado offers best-in-class V8 towing.
You guys weighed me before I came in here?
The last time we talked about power pole remote controllers, we talked about the key fob standard remote, we talked about the advanced dash switch, and the standard foot switches. Now, taking a closer look at the advanced dash switch, you need to know that it doesn't need to be mounted. It can be carried and it works anywhere on your boat. Now, the up and down button functions just like the key fob and the foot switch. Also, the speed control allows how fast the power pole anchors and deploys and retracts. The anchor selection allows control of individual power pole anchors when running duels. Speed controls and anchor selections come in very handy when using drift paddles. So the next time we get together, we're going to talk about drift paddles with your power pole and how they are the perfect deep water tool. So Bree, we created 13 power pole tips of the week. So if you guys have kind of lost track of where we are, they're consecutive. So you got 1, 2, obviously.
Yeah,
And then,
13.
so this was like number 6. So if you have any questions, you can certainly go online at Power Pole or even the Chevy Florida Insider Fish Report website and play catch up.
Or send in a good quality horizontal video and ask Captain Rick on the show.
Yeah.
All right,
You
let's
got it.
move on up to north to the Panhandle region with Captain Pat Deneen. What's up for the weekend, Pat?
Hey, Bree, I tell you what, diving is real popular in the Panhandle, both freshwater and saltwater. We've got a lot of local divers, but we also get a lot of groups from Louisiana, Alabama, Tennessee, Georgia, and other Midwest states coming down to enjoy the diving in our area. In the freshwater, it's springs like the Morrison Springs, Vortex Springs, and out in the saltwater, it's going to be the Natural Bottom and Rex in 65 to 130 plus feet of water. Probably the most iconic dive spot we have is the Oriskany, which is the aircraft carrier sunk off Pensacola. It's one of the biggest man-made artificial reefs ever, intentionally made. And I spoke with Captain Sean McLemore out of Pensacola, and he runs dive charters over there. He reports really good visibility this summer, up to 100 feet, especially a few weeks ago when we had some good blue water pushed in close. And they also do a lot of spear fishing. And he reports this summer the sharks are being pretty bad when you're out there spear fishing. So they want to come in and take your catch. So stand your ground. They're looking for an easy meal, and giving up your stringer encourages them to come back and want some more. And then Captain Sean McLemore, there's a photo there with him and his buddy Mike Boitnott with a 38-pound red grouper taking just offshore of Pensacola on a public wreck. And I tell you what, that's a really, really big red grouper right
So,
there.
Pat, I know that you do a little diving. Explain to me how you stand your ground when the shark, the man in the brown
Rick did
suit,
not like what you
wants
just said.
your food.
Well, you obviously are armed. You got a spear gun or a pole spear. So use it as a push stick, you know, and when they come in to want to take what you've got, you know, use that to keep a distance between you and them, and don't give them don't give them your fish, and kind of be a little bit aggressive back at them is the point. Which I don't want to be that guy.
No, I don't want to be that guy
if you can see
either.
Rick's face right
All
now.
right, so let's just stay offshore and keep moving.
All right, well, the king mackerel bite has been real good, both near shore, but especially good along the edge over natural bottom in 160 to 200 feet of water. The party boat Swoop at our desk, and they had a 44-pound king this week, as well as a bunch in the 10 to 12-pound range, and they're free lining baits while they're bottom fishing. And the bite, like I said, is really good on that southwest and south break in that 160 to 180 foot depth of water. As always with the kings, you want to use a wire leader. And, you know, like I said, while you're bottom fishing, free line some baits, but if you just want to target those kings, slow troll baits, top water or mid water, and the bite has been especially good this week. Blackfin tunas, wahoos are also a possibility. So, you know, that is a good thing to do right now. Moving inshore, the tarpon fishing's been, the tarpon have finally started to break up out of those big schools, and now they're in these smaller groups of 2 to 10 fish. So anchor up between the bar and the color change and camp out there, and you can expect to see a pretty good flow of singles, pairs, triples, etc. Sight fish, I'm using live baits, soft plastics, swim baits, and flies. And there's some big fish here right now. This past week, we caught quite a few fish in that 60-pound range, but also yesterday we caught a fish that was probably in that 150-pound class. So the big fish are starting to move in. While you're sight fishing, you can expect to see black-tip sharks, king mackerel, and if you're lucky, a sailfish. And there's a photo there of a really nice, healthy tarpon we caught off the beaches of Destin using live bait just, I think, Tuesday of this week.
Nice.
Pat, nice job there, man. I want to come tarpon fishing with you.
It's been good, Rick. Really, really good.
He can teach you how to stand your ground.
What else you got for me, bub?
Finally, the mangrove snappers. I spoke with Captain Justin Leake out of Panama City, and he says the mangrove snappers have moved in on a big way on that structure near the passes. So we're talking about the jetties at the inlet, also deep water structures like docks or rock piles. Live shrimp or small pilchers are the baits of choice, and these little mangroves they're terminal tackle shy, so use 10 to 15-pound leader, a small light wire circle hook, and the bait snappers are running up to about 13 inches or so.
All right, thank you so much, Pat. We're going to go ahead and take a look at the blue water outrigger hotspots from the Panhandle region. Captain Pat says inshore, the Oskaloosa Island Pier for tarpon on swim baits and LYs early in the morning and late in the afternoon. And then offshore, blue water seems to be pushing back inshore a bit. So a good color change is what to look for south of the spur to the steps. Troll a mixed spread for billfish and other pelagics.
Just push him away like this, Rick. Stand
Yes.
your ground, you know, like I do with you all the time.
Oh,
okay, now we're gonna drift on down to the Bellsville Legends Southwest region with Captain Ronnie Houston. Hey, Ronnie.
Well, always a pleasure being here. But you know what? Diving in the Southwest region is really a great destination just for about everything you need to know about diving, anywhere from our beautiful beaches to our wrecks and an abundance of artificial reefs and several that are being built right now, whether you're a beginner or a pro. Now, to get started with some information, places like Scuba Marco, Scuba Outfitters, Naples Marina and Excursion, Captain Pete, and Fantasy Scuba can provide you with all your needs, from equipment to certifications, day and night dives and classes, and also point you in the right direction for plenty of dive sites. If you're interested in doing it on your own, we also have plenty of access from most of our boat ramps, beaches, as well as nearshore wrecks and reefs that do not take long to get to. So it's really simple. Look up dive sites from Naples to Boca Grande, and you can find a list of the most popular areas, as well as all GPS locations to all the areas. And I got a couple pictures about the kids. We got Colin, Chase, Cole, Jake, and Anna. And then we've got another picture of Jake and Cole Bryant, all about the kids. Diving's great over on the southwest coast of Florida. Now, on the offshore side, we got the Spanish mackerel. Fort Myers Beach to Stump Pass, fishing 2 to 12 miles out on most noted structure, as well as large bait pods and diving birds. But there's also been some fish, the king mackerels, in the 15 to 30-pound range scattered from 12 to 25 miles out, unnoted structure, just simply trolling in and around with spoons, large lip plugs, colors to be black and purple or blue and black, or simply drifting threadfins or blue runners. And for the smaller fish, live pilchard, silver spoons, or using white bucktails. Average size of the Spanish mackerels, like I say, 2 to 5 pounds, up to 30 on the king mackerels. Please always make sure you got a trace of wire so you don't break off a good fish. Now on the inshore side, with the passing of this full moon, fishing has been great late at night, incoming in the Wiggins Pass and Estero Bay area along intercoastal docks and seawalls. But at the top of the high, a couple hours before dawn, a little to the north, York Key to Demir Key on the inside of the sandbar to the shoreline, especially points of the islands where current have also been good. Now you strictly want to use top water plugs in and around the mullet schools in those areas. Now around docks and seawalls, soft plastic shrimp in white, glow, root beer, also soft plastic paddle tails, same color, as well as 1/8-ounce bucktails. Fish around the docks and the seawalls are averaging 20 to 32 inches, but I can tell you what, it's like music out there at night. Fish up to 18 pounds on the flats, and there's some big snooks waiting there right now. Now on the inshore side, the redfish. Early morning, first half of the outgoing, and then late afternoon incoming, as well as the late afternoon outgoing, being that it gets dark now by about 9 o'clock. 3 great chances this week, like I said, because it gets dark late. Concentrate from Big Pavilion Key to Round Key, strictly on the outer Gulf Islands. Fish have really been grouped up. Once you find them, live pilchards, cut ladyfish, mullet, herring all, and I strongly suggest on a knocker rig so they can smell it and it ain't drifting away. Also gold and silver spoons and a variety of top water plugs and chartreuse, white, bone chartreuse and chrome. Weather's been great all week. Should be good into the weekend. Get out and get you some fish.
All right, Ronnie, thank you so much. We're going to go ahead and take a look at the southwest hotspots from your region offshore. Cobia Permit, Indian Key to Gordon's Pass, fishing noted structure 8 to 20 miles out using live crabs and large live baits. And then inshore, Mangrove Snapper, the last half of the outgoing and the first half of the incoming, Middle Bays to Dismal Key to Russell Key. You know where that is, Bree?
Mm-hmm.
Fishing Deadwood and Independent Islands. I don't think so.
I know exactly where that is. Okay, save the date,
That's
everyone.
Where you were fiddle around.
All right, okay. Save the date, because September 22nd is the CCA Homestead Banquet and Auction, which will be a night full of fun. You definitely won't want to miss it. To purchase your tickets, visit ccaflorida.org, and of course, Rick's going to be there, so,
You coming?
I guess that
Yeah.
if you want to meet
Come
that
on.
guy.
I think
come.
you should.
Okay,
All right.
I'll be
All
there.
right. It'll be fun. It'll
will
be
be
the first annual one.
Oh, well, I
First
have
one
to
at
be
Homestead.
there.
Yeah, of course.
All right, divers, get ready for a Coast to Conservation Minute Tip and our Central East Region Report coming right up on the Chevy Florida Insider Fishing Report. Look how cute they are. Future divers.
The Chevy Florida Insider Fishing Report is brought to you by Chevrolet, find new roads. Yamaha, reliability starts here. Suffix, the world's most hardcore fishing line. The IGFA, conservation through education. Get your hands wet. Florida Outdoor Experience. Best parts, best prices. Bennett Auto Supply. And there's no stopping Okuma.
Introducing Helmmaster, Yamaha's first fully integrated digital boat control system. With Helmmaster, you can start your outboards with a swipe of a paw and control them with a single lever. Outboard trim and steering friction adjust automatically as you accelerate and decelerate. Adjust engine speed with the touch of a button. The Helmmaster joystick provides the means to navigate and dock precisely with confidence and ease. Take control of your next vessel with Helmmaster at your command.
My name is Colby Coombs, Denali Search and Rescue. The only thing that's warm within 100 miles is your body. People get in over their heads pretty easily. You gotta risk your life to go help them. You just can't rely on hope. You have to buckle down and do it.
Remember the glory days of gasoline? It's just not made the same anymore.
Kick your gas into gear with StarTron. Pump up the performance in all of your engines. Cure the problems of ethanol with the power of enzymes. And maximize your mileage every time you drive.
Kickstart your engines with StarTron.
Today, we're talking about cars, but there's a catch. You're only going to answer me in emojis. This all-new 2016 Chevy Cruze has built-in 4G LTE Wi-Fi with 24 gigs of data.
Wow.
Describe how you feel about the Cruze.
It's pretty darn cool, man.
It's hot. Simple as that.
The Honda Civic doesn't have all of that.
Is that a Ninja?
Can't be seen in this car.
Nice.
Today's Coastal Conservation Minute is about beach cleanup. Now, I've got my 5-gallon bucket here, and one of the things that I'm learning is all the different sizes of plastics that are washing up on our beaches. But more importantly, it also allows me to figure out how it's being broke down. A lot of these small pieces, birds and mammals and fish eat. And 2/3 of all the fish that have been tested have tested positive for plastic. So unfortunately, we've got to do something about it. So go get yourself a 5-gallon bucket and participate in your own beach cleanup program. And that's today's Coastal Conservation Minute. So Bree, why don't we organize a beach cleanup?
What a concept. That is the best idea you've ever had.
So can you do that for me?
Yeah, I'll organize it. Where do you want to have it?
You tell me, what's a beach that needs the help?
I think all beaches need
You want to research that a little?
Yeah, I will. And I'll let you guys all know on the show, and then you can come on out and we'll make a
and
day
then
out
all
of it.
these guys in here can help?
I organized a beach cleanup before I went to Miss USA on Palm Beach. On the island
Really?
of Palm Beach. It was awesome.
Maybe we should do something at
We
Elliott
picked up 70
Key or
pounds of trash in 2 hours.
70
70
pounds?
pounds, we weighed it.
Hey,
Yep.
good for you. Dive it down.
Oh my gosh, she got me. But dive her down, it's pretty appropriate, right? Okay, Captain Jim Ross always has it going on in the Bells Rio Legend Central East region, so let's see what's going on in his waters this weekend. Hey, Jim.
Hey there, gang. I tell you what, we're going to have some fun. We're looking forward to a whole bunch of stuff that's coming up. Obviously, you guys have probably talked a little bit about the West Coast and the scalloping that's going on over there, and that's a lot of fun. But you know what? Central East Florida is getting ready to get flooded with some lobster hunters here pretty soon because this year's bounty of mini lobster during mini lobster season is going to kick off here the last, I guess, the last 27th and 28th of this month, which is the last Wednesday and Thursday here in July. And then, of course, the regular season opens on July 6th. Now, spiny lobsters are the ones that we normally chase, or the only ones we chase. But there's also slipper lobsters, so don't overlook those things. Now, divers can also don't overlook the lionfish that are down there. Lionfish are always in season, so remember, and there's no limit. They're tasty as they can be. They eat really good. They have a little special cleaning that you have to take care of, because of those spines that are poisonous. But, man, they're such good fish to eat. And then we've got flounder, we've got cobia, we've got grouper, amberjack, hogfish, mangrove snapper, all kinds of tasty stuff to eat. And you can tell I like to eat fish. And I'm not a diver, but I love some diver friends of mine that bring up some of this stuff, and we get to eat it here in the Bells Central East region. Now, the other thing I want to talk about is we've had a little bit of sailfish action going on here in my region. And I think it's a group of fish that Mike was talking about here not too long ago down in the East region. They've moved on up, and they're chasing sardines and glass minnows in the 120 to 190-foot depth. Most of the guys that are chasing them are looking for, birds and weed lines and things of that nature, and they're pulling naked or chin-weighted small to medium-sized ballyhoo, or sometimes they'll put just a little skirt over the top of those things. And then, of course, if you get on a weed line or something, or you get on some bait fish where they're actually balling them up, then you can pitch a frozen sardine or a live bait to them, and they'll come over and eat that thing. Now, swinging inshore, our speckled trout have been pretty good. And, a lot of the different guys, different guides that I've talked to have been catching some pretty good sized ones, especially in the Mosquito Lagoon. So if you're looking for big trout, the Mosquito Lagoon is the place you need to beeline to this week. Anglers using live pigfish or small pinfish, and you can even catch some fingerling mullet, and you want to try and get out there prior to about 8 a.m. That's when it seems to be best for those bigger fish. You want to look near the Clinker Islands that run along the west side of the ICW, down near Cucumber Island on the Cucumber Bar. Also in the middle portion, the False Channel Bar, and Tiger Shoal has been pretty good as well. Now, if you like to throw artificials, a saltwater assassin 4-inch sea shad in chicken on a chain, butt naked, or fried chicken colors are working very well because they're very bright colors and they show up well in that dirty water. Our average trout is running about 15 to 18 inches. But you know what? There's plenty of them over that 20-inch mark. And if you're lucky enough to get one like one of Captain Mike Mann's customers did this week, or recently, I should say, this 10.5 pounder that J.D. Gassett caught is one heck of a fish there in the Mosquito Lagoon.
Man,
and I tell you what,
if that fish would have been fat like they are in the wintertime or before they spawn, Jim, that would have been a serious trout.
That would have been a chunk. But I tell you, Captain Mike at Fat Fish Guide Service has been finding those big trout all spring and summer long. So make sure that you give him a shout whenever you guys and gals get up here to this region if you're looking for those big trout. Now, snook is our last species, and the lagoons and rivers are full of them right now, which is kind of interesting because we had a fish kill here not too long ago, as you all remember. But what's interesting is the snook have started to move back in following the glass minnows and pilchards and finger mullet. And so you can find them underneath mangrove shorelines, around cover, docks and other sorts of cover like that. Most of our snook are small, though, 18 inches or so, maybe to 24 inches in the Indian and Banana River side. And it's the southern Banana River, not the northern Banana River we're finding them in. But from about Palm Bay or Mico down through Vero, plenty of fish in that 30-inch range, and even a few into that 40-inch range when you get down around that Sebastian area. And I tell you, that area between Valcaria and the Highway 60 bridge in Vero is a hot spot to check right now for those snook. So, you know what? If you're down there, that's fine. Croakers are working good. Finger mullet are working good. Pigfish and pinfish are working good. But up to the north, the New Smyrna and Edgewater area also has them around the residential canals. And the South Bridge at New Smyrna also has some nice snook. You can find them feeding under those tarpon that you see rolling there in the daytimes. And here's a picture also that I got this week of a nice Central East snook, and that was caught right down there at Sebastian Inlet.
Hey, Jim, I got a question for you. You talked about the sailfish that have showed up in your region. So how far do you have to run to go to 120 to 190 feet?
120 feet is about 22 miles offshore, Rick, out of Canaveral. A little farther out of Ponce, just a little bit less out of Sebastian.
All right, thank you so much. I'm going to go ahead and get to the hot spots from the Central East region. Captain Jim says that this weekend offshore we should go mangrove snapper fishing on 70 to 100-foot reefs, chum heavily and drift chunks of bait with a 3 to a 5/0 VMC circle hook in your slick. And then inshore snook in all the area inlets. Fish live croakers, pinfish near the jetty rocks on the outgoing tide. You know why outgoing?
Why?
Because the water's a little dirty. They bite better.
There you go, guys. Well, the dive boat is just about headed in, but stay tuned to see what we're fishing for next week right here on the Chevy Florida Insider Fishing Report. We will be right back. Hey,
All right, guys, we brought you to this construction trailer to talk about trucks today. Anybody know which full-size pickup offers a V8 that can tow up to 12,000 pounds?
The Chevy.
It's Ram.
I say Ford.
What do you think?
Whoa, what was that?
What are you moving?
We're going.
It's the answer to the question, baby. Silverado.
Yep, Chevy Silverado offers best-in-class V8 towing.
You guys weighed me before I came in here?
When you're moving a big offshore boat, it's all about thrust and trust. For thrust, nothing compares to the Yamaha purpose-built 5.3-liter V8 Power Pioneer. And for trust, Yamaha's new F350C model becomes the only outboard in its horsepower class to feature a 5-year limited warranty. Never settle for less than complete confidence and control in the open water. That's Yamaha V8 Power. Get the best and forget the rest.
Uncompromising. Like the fishermen who swear by it.
Thanks for tuning in to the Chevy Florida Insider Fishing Report. Be sure to like us on Facebook and follow us on Instagram and Twitter to keep up with our captains, contests, and appearances. You never have to miss a show. You can find full episodes of the Chevy Florida Insider Fishing Report right on your YouTube channel. And make sure to check out our website for fishing reports in your region. Visit www.ChevyFloridaInsiderFishingReport.com for everything you need to know to stay hooked up. Well, guys, next week it is all about the amberjack.
Amberine?
AJs, grief donkeys, you know, that kind of thing. Amberine.
The House of Pain is
House
what
of
that
Pain.
is.
You know.
What's the biggest AJ you ever caught, Farrell?
100 pounds in Key West.
100 pounds.
400 feet of water on the submarine wreck.
I caught one with her brother on the Lukenbach, 108 pounds. On 20-pound test.
The second one I hooked up, I was on the bottom and I handed it to the mate.
All right, guys, thank you for joining us. We'll see you next week. Go diving.
Amberine?